having a wonderful Tuesday morning, and welcome to Talking XP, where we just hang out and talk about a bunch of different things, games like D&D, video games, stuff like that. I'm Johnny. I've been a DM for over 5 years. I play with these guys here, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
I'm Ryan, and I'm happy to be joining everybody else here to talk about all of our favorite things.
Yep, and I'm Daniel.
And I'm Zach. I play D&D. I play all kinds of. I've DM'd on and off. I'm just super happy to be here. Couldn't be more excited. This is gonna be terrible.
I'm excited.
No, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great disaster.
It's going to be an experience.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great. What's our first experience we're gonna talk about?
Well, our first experience is our scheduling. We're going to be doing these kind of podcasts every third Tuesday of each month. We're going to be releasing them. More to follow, depending on
Look forward to it.
whatever happens. The first thing that we were going to be talking about is just anything recent that you guys noticed. I mean, I know specifically to D&D, Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and that's been interesting.
Came out asterisk.
Right, the early release. That's
the early access release of it. How's that guys going for you? I haven't played it, but I know you guys have been way into it.
Real quick, before we go too deep, who's the one who brought it in to the group and said, hey, there's this thing, we should check it out?
okay.
Okay, well,
To be fair, I knew about Baldur's
We
Gate
knew
3
about
coming
it.
out, but I didn't know that they were going to have the same-ish rules as D&D 5e, so that was where it was really like,
I mean, you can admit it. I didn't know it was a Dungeons and Dragons game until I actually went to the Steam page.
let's be honest. Don't be humble. You invented the game. You developed it yourself.
made
It's a
it
one-man
yourself.
team of Daniel. He
Since-
created Dungeons and Dragons and Baldur's
Since
Gate,
you brought it up, yes.
and he brought it to our humble computers.
Thank you, Daniel. That being said,
You're welcome. That's all
Thank
I
you
needed.
so much for this game I won't
That's
play.
what I wanted. You're welcome.
I am certainly enjoying it, and I know I've definitely spent a lot of time in it with both Daniel and Johnny.
oh yeah, dude, what, you have like 50 hours or some shit like that? I have about 30. Yeah, and we've just been
Crap.
yeah, and then we've exploited a few things like where we can make like our own characters and have like all of the party be our characters instead of using their weird, awkward people that they have going on right now. It's
Yeah, I'm
just-
sure those companions will definitely develop as the game
I hope
goes
so,
on. But
because oof.
I mean, I don't think it's fair to review a game that's in progress, but right now,
Right.
is it a recommend for you, or?
Well, it's like first impressions. How are you guys
Okay.
feeling about it?
So first impression for sure. I mean, I saw the trailer of it a long time ago, and I knew that Mind Flayers were going to be the first part of it. So
I heard the premise once. I thought that was really cool.
right,
like,
the
the
premise
plot.
the premise of it is only in like the first.
it's the prologue of the game.
Yeah, it's the
Oh, really?
prologue. It's like the quote unquote tutorial of the game, and then you
And-
go
and
around.
then
You
that
have
problem is solved.
No.
kind of,
Oh, okay.
but not really. It's like there's one aspect of it that isn't, but it's also like it's always this daunting thing that you're trying to fix, and there's like five
Something
different
just-
ways that you can do
Something
that.
you keep in the back of your head.
Right, and there's
Literally.
yeah,
There's
there's
that
like
was very intentional.
there's 5 different ways that you can like solve this issue, and it's really interesting about like how they made it look just like a D&D campaign, which is what I like so much about it. Another thing is just how ginormous the map is. Oh my god, like
There's
it takes
so
you
much to
so long
explore.
to traverse it.
That's why I've spent so many hours into the game. Is there's nooks and crannies everywhere that you
That's
can
really
just
cool.
Like you
look
could
for.
like you could just find a rock, lift it, and there's like 5 gold underneath, and it's just like there's so much like random detail that you just don't
Yeah,
see
it's a really
through the
fleshed out
first
world.
run. Yeah, and you have to go over it again and again.
Yeah.
And also it
Well, and
depends
it's
on
only.
if, I was gonna
Go
say it depends if you even pass your perception check to notice some things that are slightly
True.
off. If you don't notice it, then you won't notice it at all when playing
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Well, they're only going to add more to this because
No,
they're always
exactly.
going to be adding to this game and
Right.
for however long the
Right.
What
early
I think
access
is
lasts.
hilarious is how much it sort of reveals the game of Dungeons and Dragons when you're not having to focus on keeping track of all the things like your stats and spell slots and
That's
things.
a good point.
Not only does it seem very straightforward, which I actually think is to its benefit, because they get to put all of their time and effort into making a story that's
Right.
super unique to whatever your experience is going to
Yeah.
be. But like, there are some characters where I will tell you right now, I only hit one button the entire time, and it's really the only button I needed. And
Yeah.
maybe that will diversify as the game goes on. But
Like-
it also made me realize that in Dungeons and Dragons, there are some characters where I'm just hitting the same button over and over again.
Barbarians, we're looking at you.
Sure.
Rage
you know,
hit.
any of those
That's
kind
it.
of very
Sounds like,
straightforward spellcasters.
Eldritch Blast. to me.
Yeah.
Warlocks,
Yeah.
yeah. No, that's definitely a
Sorcerers
thing.
aren't in the game yet, but it certainly I was like, oh, I sure do cast Firebolt or Eldritch Blast a lot.
And miss a lot.
Is there anything else I want to do?
Oh shit.
No.
No, like.
Well, okay, and then
if
another
it's not
thing.
broke, don't fix it.
Well, speaking of broke, I like wizards, and I played a wizard in Baldur's Gate 3.
R.I.P.
You can learn. So first off, they give out spell scrolls like they're candy.
It's crazy how many spell
It's
scrolls we have.
so many, and I mean,
early
yes, you
access.
can buy them as well, but you find so
or
many
you can
of them.
steal them.
Or you can
That's
steal them,
even better.
which that's a completely different discussion, and that's going to definitely be talked about in a little bit. But as a wizard, you can learn any spell if you have the spell scroll for it. I'm talking, cure wounds. I'm talking revivify.
Holy
All
shit.
of these cleric-specific spells you can learn as a wizard, which makes wizards fucking broken.
Yeah.
That
Now,
on top
a
of
wizard that can
arcane
heal.
recovery, dude, like ridiculous.
I don't want to go, too deep into this because we could probably talk about this all day. But are there any features that now, as a video game, you think, even though it's like, okay, I get that they're trying to recreate Dungeons and Dragons as best they can in a video game, are there some things that they should just remove? Like, for example, does it hurt the wizard by not allowing them to learn spells from scrolls and they only get to learn new spells when they level up?
So, yes. And the reason why is because we have to prepare spells.
And I believe in this game too, that might increase the amount for further levels. But currently in the game, even as level 3, you can't get past, I think, 6 prepared spells in the game. So that might just be capping it off at that anyways in the game. Whether or
Right.
not they increase that, I don't know. But
Whereas sorcerer, bard, and who else? The warlocks automatically get those spells that they have prepared. So you get all of the spells that you have in your arsenal ready to go, which there's another point to be made in Baldur's Gate 3, you can prepare spells at any time outside of combat. So you don't have to wait until a long rest is done to prepare new spells. So that does kind of change it. I think that they should just stick with wizards being able to have wizard spells, and that's just it.
Sorcerers aren't in the game yet, warlocks are. But I mean, to be fair, warlocks and sorcerers, you have a limited number of spells that you can learn, and you can only exchange
Very
those
limited.
spells
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a sorcerer, let's just say warlock, since that's what I've got currently in the game.
Yeah.
You get your 2 cantrips.
Big fan.
You get 2 first level spells, and then you get a second level spell. That is it. You have 5 spells active. You're right. I don't have to prepare them, but you're capped out. If you were able to, as a wizard, know more spells, and then let's say every time you do go back to camp, you can just prepare new spells. Does it hurt by removing that? Because it would just, because is balance of the game more important than accuracy to Dungeons and Dragons?
See, but I think that's where the balance comes from, is that
Oh, take a stand.
wizards can have so many spells in their spell book, but they can only have this many, just a small amount of them prepared at one time. So it's like I'll have grease in my spell book and I'll have it ready maybe, but I need magic missile and I don't have that.
I would also argue that by having all these different spells that they can have access to, that's what sets them differently from the different classes. So you don't want to remove that because that's what makes them special in
Right.
a lot of ways.
I think that's a great answer.
You also have to spend money every time that you learn them. So I mean, realistically, unless you're Ryan stealing from every single trader, you don't have as much money as as you have spell scrolls. So you're never going to be able to have every single spell, in your spell book. Unless you're just a crazy adventurer, level 19 kind of thing.
I do believe in our last save game, we now have over 8,000 gold pieces.
Ridiculous.
Maybe as just a gamer, I think that balance is a little bit more important than accuracy. So
I would agree.
In my perfect version of the game, I think that they should remove some of those things, just because I think it just makes the game better. The video game specifically.
Are you saying the wizard's not able to learn any spell? Is that what you're saying?
No, well, yes. But maybe just the scroll thing. Just because the way that video games work is they do want to hand out scrolls, and I think that one-use scrolls are a great tool in video games, and that those are more important to have than the ability for a character to suddenly amass an entire spell book in a couple hours.
See, my counterpoint to that is the issue in balance is not that the wizard can learn every except for the cure wounds and
cure wounds is ridiculous. Yeah.
So the spells that should not be on the list, yes, shouldn't be added to the character's spell book, but as Johnny was saying, you can only have so many prepared. Number one, but anyways, the other way to fix that would be just reducing the amount of spell scrolls that are given out. That would help balance the game in that sense. You shouldn't be able to find them from every trader, basically.
Every trader, every spellcaster, and there's a lot of spellcasters. There's a point where you attack goblins in this. Like there's a whole goblin arc that you go. And there's at one point, okay, so when you first meet them, there's one shaman, has 2 spell scrolls on them. You go to a city or a little rundown village that they've taken over. There's 2 shamans, 2 spell scrolls on each of them. So it's like, I get that they might have some sort of access to spell scrolls, but like 2 on each for all 3 of them, that's 6. And if you have different ones for each of them, and you're stealing
them from all the traders.
That too.
Right,
or
just like
bought
Ryan.
them, or bought them.
Doubt it.
Spell scrolls are pretty expensive. I mean, unless you steal them.
I don't know. I think it sounds like fun. I think it's cool that they bend the rules for this video game, and I think it's cool to make some busted ass super character.
Yes. It's always fun to make some crazy powerful characters, of course.
I would also argue the other balance issue that outside the podcast has been brought up about stealing back your money from the trader and how maybe that should or should not be a thing. I'm totally in agreement that it should be. There are consequences if you do get caught stealing. However, what I do agree with is perhaps after the first time, they are a lot more alert to the second try.
That's the DC increases.
I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily increases, but I'd say you'd have disadvantage because they're aware. Because obviously their perception is not going to increase. And the only other way around it would be that maybe they hire on a guard that stands watching them. That would prevent you from being able to pickpocket in general, because you can't pickpocket when there's a line of sight on you. It just does not let you.
Yeah.
So,
because you have to crouch in order to do that, and anytime somebody has a line of sight on you, when you're in bright light and not dim or dark light, you automatically get out of that stealth, and so then you're not able to pickpocket. But yeah, I think that it'll be really nice to see how the game develops. I mean, they said that it's gonna be coming out in like a year. Like the actual real game is gonna be coming out in a year, and that's if they don't have any pushbacks or anything like that from all of the feedback that they're getting. You know, I mean, we all know about Cyberpunk. Oof, that's been pushed back a lot. But I mean, we're all stoked for it though. I mean, it's gonna be. I was looking at on Twitter, there was this GIF of a guy just on the sick ass looking bike, just weaving through traffic, and I saw somebody commenting like, I've watched this GIF way too many times, and I was like, I finally noticed the comment. I was like, oh yeah, dude, same. I was just mesmerized by it. Yeah. Anyways,
it looks really cool, super in depth, and
yeah, I'm super stoked about it. So another thing that I was noticing more into the tabletop D&D rather, is Tasha's Cauldron. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is a new source book that's going to be coming out, which I think is really interesting because there's a lot of rumors going around about ability score increases for racial races. So like with Orc, you have -1 intelligence, +2 to strength, and I think it's +2 to constitution or something like that.
Sounds right.
Whereas you can switch those around, or you can just take them away and then just do a base
Oh, interesting.
plus
so you get
2 to
like
1 and then plus 1 to another kind of thing, because that's kind of how every race is usually, is plus 2 to 1 and then plus 1 to another one. And so what Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is doing is they're going to make that so that races don't have that specific thing, so that you don't have the human fighter, you don't have the half-elf bard, you don't have the high-elf wizard that have, you know, all of these traits that are specific to those classes, or like the Goliath barbarian, you know, those things. So
that's
I
pretty
think it'll be
cool to get
interesting.
away from that.
Right.
It makes sense because just in general, just being able to have roleplay options that are more suited to what you want to do. If you want to be an elf, you can be an elf now.
Exactly.
Well,
And
I also...
Oh, go on.
No, I was just going to say that I think that even beyond just having the ability to roleplay the character that you have in your head, I think there's also a pretty powerful statement about how hypothetically, in the world that existed in D&D, especially with the way those bonuses played out, like what you were just saying, there were some classes that it only really made sense to play if you really wanted the best version
Right.
of certain races. I mean,
Just like
so
not every
it's-
orc is going to be barbarian strong.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a
type thing.
caste system kind of thing, right?
Sure.
Where it's like, yeah, well, our orcs, you'd never have an orc wizard. Orcs can't be wizards. That's just not something that orcs do.
Yeah. And I think
so-
that was a big thing that everybody was talking about on Twitter, because I remember when they first released like information about that, everybody was like, finally, because even in the human race, I mean, you have so many different skills that everybody has, and when like with, you know, strength, my God, you have the mountain that can lift anything. And then you have, you know, someone like me
actual
that,
mountains.
yeah, like actual mountains.
Yeah.
But then you have people like me that like, I can't lift nearly as much as him.
Only
And-
like molehills.
Right, you know, just small ones.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, like,
and yeah,
that's-
just
that's-
the idea that in this fictional world that's created, you have to have a race of people that are big and dumb.
Right.
And that
Right.
you have to have a race of people that are slim and fucking blonde hair and blue eyes
And snooty.
are like super charismatic and very intelligent.
Of course.
You know.
Yeah, when you put it like that, it makes more sense. Like it's coming at it from like a role play standpoint.
It's
it
more of the
obviously-
role play
and a
perspective.
gameplay.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool too, because obviously each of the races is still going to keep their features, I imagine. 'Cause
Right,
you,
yeah.
You can't remove that from the
Right.
race. But that's kind of cool that you can definitely separate that. I think that'll be a very good addition.
I did see that they're changing some of the phrasing around it though. Like for example, orcs or half orcs won't necessarily just get advantage in intimidation, because the idea that an orc is just fucking intimidating just because you happen to just see an orc person, you're like, oh goddamn,
Right.
I'm scared of that guy.
I would be scared.
Look at
Right.
him. So even
good old
and
orc
it might not.
racism.
They're still giving orcs. I can't remember what they said they were switching it to. If it was just gonna be like, I don't know, if they were just gonna make it a straight charisma thing or whatever.
I
but-
imagine it would probably be an option of one of the charisma abilities. You
Yeah,
get
or they give the option of if you want to do
Persuasion.
intimidation, you can do intimidation, or you could do deception or persuasion.
Yeah.
Just so
yeah.
that way you don't necessarily have to be just the big mean looking orc guy.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah, I think that would create a equal opportunity, I guess you can say, for all races to become any single class, because it's basically a level playing field now. Where
Yeah.
I mean, like humans are the epitome of level playing field, where you get one in everything, or the variant where you get one in one and then a feat, which is broken in my opinion. But anyways, but yeah, it opens up that you know, it just creates so much more opportunities for interesting characters
Sure.
rather than just the usual.
But it also lets you know you don't have to cross the street just because an orc happens to be walking your way. He might be
Right.
a nice guy.
Right, you
Don't
don't
be
know.
racist.
yeah,
Depending
you might
on
have
the world.
tattoos. You don't know.
Don't be racist. You
depending-
can't judge somebody just because of what race they are.
I mean,
That's all I'm
depend-
saying. It's
de-
very
de-
simple.
Depending on what your DM's set up, because you know there are certain situations where, like, they're,
Sure.
you know,
Well,
we
yeah.
live in we play in a world now where orcs have been attacking everybody
Well,
and we kill them
Yeah,
on
I'm
sight.
not gonna.
that kind
I'm
of
not
thing.
gonna judge J.R.R. Tolkien for having created orcs.
There's
and
one.
these terrible bad
That's
guys.
another one that
right?
comes to mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Well, he
orcs are the
invented
bad
them,
guys.
right? He invented the orc.
I believe he did. Yeah.
something. I know that. I mean,
believe so.
God, those books were written so long ago.
It's not. I just want to make sure that I'm not saying something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Johnny
yeah,
hates
yeah.
anything over
false.
20 years old.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He won't have anything to do with it.
Yeah,
They're good books.
but
Worth checking
yeah,
out.
no, J.R.R. Tolkien, man, like
Yeah, dude's
what
old.
a brilliant man. Just so long ago too. It's insane.
Wasn't it in the 1920s, 1950s, somewhere in that window? I don't remember what.
Somewhere in the old times.
Somewhere in the times where it was like, damn.
Well, I mean, he took a lot of it from inspiration from World War One, so it's at least 1914 to
20, yeah.
1920.
Hey, just so you know, I just want to make sure I didn't just share this. That is not true. That is a piece of fun fact trivia that I've heard multiple times.
I
But
have
I've
heard
just
it too.
now learned is not true. So
Well, thank you for
He didn't
fact checking
don't tell
lives.
people that J.R.R. Tolkien invented orcs, because he
All
did.
right. Well,
Who did? Do you know? Do you have
did
that?
it say?
It just said it's just like an evil villain from mythology. Just
Cool.
like how you
Okay.
couldn't claim that one person invented Hercules.
Gotcha.
Fair enough. Okay.
All right. Well,
all right.
there's that. That's set, and don't tell your friends that he made it. Cool.
Yep, there you go.
Right on. Well, now that we got, I mean, does anybody else have any recent news in any games or anything like that?
You guys check out Hades? Anybody on that
God,
shit?
I heard about that. I
Yeah,
heard that
I'm playing
everybody's
it.
just addicted to it, but
Oh,
I
man.
haven't played it yet.
Oh man, Hades is the best shit. Which is not surprising. It comes from Supergiant, who are like one of the
Right,
best
I heard that they were
video
pretty
game
good.
companies, in my opinion. They've made
Bastion, Transistor.
and Pyre are there.
Um,
Bastion, Transistor, Pyre, and Hades, which are all, in my opinion, 10 out of 10 banger masterpieces.
Yeah.
Everybody
I still
who's
remember
listening,
playing Bastion for the first time.
Yeah, stop what you're doing and go play all 4 of them because they're all legitimately great.
I haven't played the other two. I will say I've only played Bastion and Hades.
Hey,
To me, those are the two that
You
are
heard
most
him.
kind
Get
of
on
my
it.
speed.
Stop what
but
you're
they're
doing
awesome.
and go play them
stop
right
this
now.
podcast. Go play them.
Just
Everyone should genuinely
get out.
play Bastion. It's
they're-
very quick and it's
It
epic.
is. It's all great. And like the other two, Pyre's like weird fantasy basketball, but it works. It's really, really
Interesting.
good. I promise. They're all fantastic.
Yeah.
And Hades is the newest in this line. It's the first roguelike, which is
Can you
cool.
guess what it's about?
You know, if I had to guess.
It's about the stock market.
Now, I might. Oh, see, I was going to say Hades,
see,
but I guess
You're
I'm.
probably not too far off, though,
That was a
Zach.
joke from the folks at home.
Also, it's the place Hades, not necessarily the person Hades. The person Hades is also in it,
It's also there.
but it's called Hades because it takes
It
place
means,
in Hades.
yeah, the location Hades. Hades is another word for the underworld.
Interesting.
And it's a
mythology.
roguelike. It's about Hades' son, Zagreus, who I did not know existed until playing this
Interesting.
game. And he's
Has
just
he
trying
always
to,
existed, or did they just make him
yeah,
up?
I
looked him
believe
up
he's a
and was like,
very,
Interesting.
very minor,
super
very
obscure.
minor character in Greek mythology, but is that you can find him
But
on
is
one of
a
those
person.
But he does exist.
tablets or whatever.
Right on.
and he's
Right on.
trying to bust out of hell, and it's fucking great. I've been
Dude,
playing it so much.
I've heard everybody has been just saying that they're addicted to it. Like it's staying up all night and then being like,
Pretty much.
okay, one more game.
One more.
Okay, one more
run.
round.
I have only played it twice, but let's see how many hours I have on Steam. I've
I
only
could load it
actually
up.
booted the
like,
game up twice.
I've probably put 25 or 30 hours into it.
And it's cheap too. It's like 25
20
or
bucks.
26. Yeah.
They all
it's
are.
Like,
Okay,
Yeah.
I've only played 2.1 hours, so I guess it's
Okay.
not as much as I
Well,
thought.
so you're
But
not even
hey,
a real fan.
Not a
I guess
real
it was because
gamer.
I got further in the game than I expected when I played.
Yeah.
And they're
Dude,
they're
it
all
just-
like that. Again, they're all 4 games by Supergiant are masterpieces, and they're all like $20. Go.
Right on.
I
So
can't.
get your
check that
copy
out.
now.
I
Bastion should be
cannot
way
yell
less.
about them enough. They are all
Talking
masterpieces.
XP, sponsored by Supergiant.
Sponsored by. Honestly,
Did we ever say the
Hey,
name of our show?
But
Is that a thing we
seriously,
did?
He did.
like,
He did.
if Supergiant wants to get into talks, just let us know. All right. So, anyways, moving on.
I'm like your
Um,
biggest fan. Please. Anyway, game is banging.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. Not much else to say about it. It's just like, not only is it super good, like in the vein of like Supergiant games, it's also just a really well made roguelike. If I don't know how well, like, I play quite a bit of them. I don't know if you guys are into those. Super.
Me,
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
I
It's
am
like-
as well.
I honestly
find
have
it
no
on
idea
the-
what roguelike means, and I was not
It
going to
just
say
kinda
it
means,
until
like,
now.
It is confusing.
It's a safe place. It just means that like you do runs where like you start the game, and if you die, you start from the beginning.
And I think it comes from some game that originally was called Rogue.
It was
Interesting.
and it first like introduced this concept, and like usually they're like procedurally generated levels, so like things are slightly different every time.
You restart your like inventory usually with every run, but you have some kind of progression system either in a level up or things you unlock through.
So then you can get even further into the run.
Exactly.
Because of the fact
you
that
do a little better every time because you'll have
Interesting.
better stats.
I see.
For some of them, not all of them have that.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's also
Yeah, that
you got to be
sounds
careful
fun.
though because there's a rogue-like genre, which is what this is, and there's also the rogue-lite genre, which is a whole different thing.
All right, we're
you
not even
gotta
getting
Actually,
into that.
I think
We'll
we can get into it real easy. You got it backwards because roguelite is the one that gives you progression. Roguelike is where you start completely over.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
Okay.
I believe.
that was a lot
Could
easier
be
than I
wrong, but
thought.
I'm pretty. Yeah, it's really not that hard.
That's one of my favorite weird, like super specific video game terminology things.
It's a niche genre.
right on.
Hades is great. Check it out. That's basically all I've been doing forever.
Cool. Anything else about recent news or anything?
Well, not necessarily recent news, but there's been some movies that I've been watching every now and then. One of
You've been
which
watching.
was Mazes and Monsters. Have any of you guys
Interesting.
heard of that movie?
I've never heard of it.
It's a movie. What the hell is
So
this?
where
it's
is it?
it's one of Tom Hanks's earliest movies. It's
Tom
from
Hanks.
1982, and
Really?
it was a made-for-TV movie, and it's about Tom Hanks, who is this college kid, probably 21, 22-ish age, and
Oh, weird. I'm
he-
looking at the poster right now.
he has some kind of mental illness of some kind that you kind of find out throughout the film, and it's all based on his brother who ran away when he was a teenager or whatever. So he has kind of like abandonment issues of some
Okay.
kind, and basically, anyways, the point is he's completely addicted to basically Dungeons and Dragons, except it's called Mazes and Monsters in this world.
Of course. 'cause
Legally
it's copyright.
distinct.
Yeah.
Sure. And basically, he gets transferred from the college that he was going to into this new college that he hasn't been to ever, because he got kicked out of his last school because he was too obsessed with the game, and he just got pulled out of school. He failed out of his classes or whatever. So then they brought him.
here, Tommy. You can't be playing those mazes and monsters anymore. You're going
So-
to a different school. That's gonna fix it.
You didn't
So-
tell me they made a movie about you, Johnny.
Yeah, they did actually.
So basically, he goes to this new school, right? And you start out the movie with the group of characters in which he actually starts playing Dungeons and Dragons with again.
Mazes
so-
and monsters.
Mazes
Please.
and Monsters.
God.
And
Wizards of the Coast
They're-
will sue
they're-
the shit out of us.
they're looking for a fourth player, and they put up message boards. Tom Hanks' character sees the message board. He's reluctantly trying to avoid it. He doesn't want anything to
course,
do with it
of
because he
course.
failed out of school. He's trying to start new. They talk him into it after like lots of peer pressure, and they start playing the game. And then one of the other kids he plays with also has like some suicidal type tendencies, and so
Oh shit. Okay.
out of depression or whatever, he during one of their sessions decides to jump into a pile of treasure head first just to get it, and of course it's a trap, and he ends up dying. His character does, of course.
Right.
And after that, he kind of like got upset and kind of angry about the game, and so he wanted to reinvent it for themselves and play it like LARPing style. And so
Okay.
they found this cave that's pretty close to the school that they're all attending, and this cave is like supposed to be really dangerous, and people have gone missing in it, whatever. And so it's forbidden for students to go in it. They'll be expelled for whatever reason. And they decided to do
Real
LARPing
life D&D.
in there, right?
Right.
And
this guy that died, his character died jumping into this treasure and trapped. He's the one, quote unquote, DMing it.
yes, correct.
Okay.
What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah,
So-
no, of course not.
so-
Yeah, it's gonna be totally fine.
So they're all having a good time. They're all doing it. They all get split up in this maze of a cave.
Always a
And
good.
Tom Hanks'
Like
character,
the title of the movie.
Tom Hanks's character, as the DM is, calling out the scene around him or whatever. It's like, oh, you see a monster approaching you. Tom Hanks's character actually starts seeing it, and so he starts like losing grip on reality, thinking that he's actually his character. And his
Right.
god is named after his brother as well. So
Ooh.
he's like making some kind of weird mental thing going on. And then after that night, he didn't disassociate from his character at all.
Oh no.
And so the other people they thought he was just having a good time and just playing around. But then he ends up going missing. And that's only halfway through the movie.
Holy
the last
crap.
half of the movie is them trying to find out where he went. Of course, he went to New York.
So it's like Jumanji, but sad.
Yeah, sounds about
it's-
right, yeah.
It's incredibly sad.
Sad Jumanji.
And of course,
like D&D.
the way it ends. So like when they're trying to investigate, they bring the detectives in and they're trying to figure out what happened to him. The way they treat the game is as if it's something like, oh, it's like drugs, like, oh,
Satanic,
you
yeah,
you got mazes and monsters, did you?
Spoilers for Mazes and Monsters, by the way.
Were you all playing with them? It's like, oh no, we weren't playing at all.
Oh
no.
my god.
So-
Got it.
They treated it like that, and by the end
Yeah.
of the movie, this is how you really cement in their viewpoint of the game, is because eventually they found him, and it does a immediate flash forward. Oh, number one, they find him on top of the World Trade Center,
Whoa,
about
okay.
Nice.
to jump off and
Oh, geez.
join his
Cool.
brother.
Right, yeah.
So they stop him, and then it does a flash forward 6 months, saying like, oh yeah, he's doing really good now as they're all driving in the car together without Tom Hanks. Like, yeah, he's doing really great now. He's doing a lot better. And they get to Tom Hanks's family's home, and they find him just sitting on the edge of like their lake on some lakeside property, and he's dressed in all white. He's like, and he greets them in his character. And you think like, oh man, he's
He's
just
right back in there.
he's just joking around. Nope. And the end of the movie is saying, and we never played the game again.
Oh, jeez.
my-
Essentially, I don't remember exactly the phrasing, but that was essentially the direction of the movie.
What a roller coaster. I thought it was going to go in a completely different direction.
Oh,
They were
me
gonna go in
too.
the cave, and I
Expected.
thought they were going to like the guy that was like died was going to set up traps, like actual traps, and that was what it was going to be.
I thought this was gonna go like full isekai. Like,
was
I thought they were going
way-
into actual D&D land.
Way
No,
sadder.
It is super sad.
If you guys, this is a little off topic, but if you guys ever want to watch or read something that's D&D related, that's through a different medium, there's this excellent play which is sort of similar, it seems like in concept, to this Mazes and Monsters thing, a little bit, in that it's Dungeons and Dragons and a character kind of sort of pseudo enters the world, and it's very sad.
Great.
Called She
Why are-
Kills Monsters.
Kills monsters.
And it was a play. It was produced in 2011 in New York City, and it's since been produced kind of all over the country. I saw a version of it in just outside of Denver at the Aurora Fox Theater, and it is awesome. Dungeons
Sounds
Dragons themed.
Why are all these
but-
Dungeons and Dragons themed media sad?
So the premise is basically that there's this female protagonist whose family died in a tragic car accident, and she happens to have found some of her sister's old stuff, and in there is a module, like an adventure for Dungeons and Dragons. So she decides to play through it. Because she
it.
was never really like
so
close
she's
to her
using
sister.
it as like a coping mechanism kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's something she discovers. I
interesting.
think if I remember the play correctly, her family has died in a car crash. Like there's been some amount of time has passed, and then
Got
she
it.
has come back and discovered some of this stuff, and then she kind of goes on this adventure and like connects with her sister.
Yeah.
Going through it, very good. Anyway, very off topic, but your
Yeah.
Mazes and
Well, I
Monsters
mean, it
thing
wasn't
made me
off
think
topic.
about it.
I would say there's a good chance that they're linked, possibly, because Mazes and Monsters, after looking into it, is based on a true life thing-ish.
Interesting.
It's obviously loosely based, I believe,
sure.
but it is based on a real thing that
Inspired by a true story.
a kid went missing while playing D&D or something in, I think,
That's such a vague
1979.
thing, and then they just
I
came
don't know
up
the
with a
date,
story
but
behind it.
But yeah, they're definitely monopolizing on that
Oh,
true
yeah.
story. I don't know if
Okay.
the person died or not. I think they
Right.
did die.
I hear they're still in their character to this day.
Some say he's still in there. They never found him. A couple questions. I have a question for each of you. So Ryan, was it good?
It
Like,
it wasn't
sounds like it could go either way.
it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen.
No, it doesn't mean it's good.
They definitely hit on some pretty heavy themes I was very surprised by.
Okay,
Yeah,
let me
it sounds like it.
let me rephrase it. Is it worth watching?
There's a good question.
It's got bad reviews.
Ooh.
For the sake of it, I think if you have nothing else to do, sure, but I wouldn't
no.
I wouldn't say go out of your way.
Okay.
I got through
If you're
halfway
bored.
through the movie before he even went missing, and I thought the movie was almost over.
If it just happened to be on your TV in 1982, you might as well watch it. But other than that, don't.
Is there anybody else who's famous who's in it?
Not to me.
I guess
that's
it
not
is
to
kind of a
say-
novelty for like Tom Hanks fans. I guess there's that.
It's a good performance.
One of the actors is familiar to me, and I don't know why. I pulled it up. Nominated for a Tony for playing Anne Frank in Anne Frank. I don't know how I knew that, but I
Man.
must have, in my research, I must have
Yeah.
separate
Yeah.
research.
Okay, so my other question for Daniel on She Kills Monsters, it was
Yeah.
called, is
Yeah.
that do you know if there's any like recording of this online anywhere for us to enjoy in the modern age
Especially
where plays are
with
not really an
COVID.
option?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
in
I was gonna
pandemic
dance
times,
around it, but yeah.
in pandemic times, maybe. This is way too complicated to go into on a podcast, but there's lots of reasons why a stage play may or may not be able for you to watch. There's a reason why there aren't a lot of filmed versions of stage plays that are just accessible, that aren't through like, PBS or,
Sure.
something like that.
I have this problem
so-
with musicals a lot.
So yeah, honestly, it's probably one of the things you just gotta wait to see in person.
If it makes it through the pandemic.
I was just wondering, like, if you knew off the top of your head if it existed.
Brian.
Off the top of my head, no.
Oh, and Zach, to answer your question from before as to why Dungeons and Dragons styled movies and plays are about,
Why
losers,
they're always sad.
it's because we are losers.
Well, at least we
That's-
embrace it.
Yeah,
I
of course.
It's only sad when you look in. Like when you're in it, you feel great, but like on the
Right.
outside looking in, it may come across as sad.
Oh yeah, no,
And that's even
I-
like looking at, rival D&D parties. You're like, oh, look at those losers.
right, of course. And I think that I think that the media actually, like, to actually get to a serious note here, I think the media has definitely changed a lot too.
I was on a serious note.
Oh no, you're right. Sorry, not to downplay.
Come on. It was hurtful. Go on.
But I think the media has actually changed quite a lot into, how, perspectives of D&D and people to play.
I would agree. I think D&D over the years has become like a more mainstream acceptable thing. It's just kind of like, instead of that niche thing all the nerds play in their basement, it's just a hobby. You know? It's just something people
While
can do in their free time.
Also having those nerds that are playing.
well, I mean,
in
it's a
their
hobby you
basement.
play in your
It
basement, but
does
it's
help
like
it was on Stranger Things.
that
True.
too.
That was one of the biggest things, and then
Yeah.
also D&D 5e was one of the. It's
Like once
It's
I think
renowned
newer,
to be-
more modern versions will help
well,
the
5e
masses
was
come to it.
5e was renowned to be like the easiest to get into for D&D. So it was like you can get one book, the player's handbook, read through the rules, and you could just play.
Yeah.
You don't need the monster manual. You can come up with them on your own. You don't need to have the Dungeon Master's Guide, which I think honestly is you don't really need all of the information in there anyways. It's just you kind of read that on Reddit and shit like that anyways. But anyways, you get one book and you can play.
It helps that there are lots of sexy men who like to play Dungeons and Dragons now too, like
Yeah,
Joe
like
Manganiello.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and,
he's open about it. He has his own company called Death Saves.
Yeah.
That like he sells.
I mean, have you seen
like,
a
really-
walkthrough of his Dungeons and Dragons
Dude.
dungeon? It's awesome.
It's sick.
I'd love to
He
go
has
there.
like an actual dragon head.
The chance of
on-
me ever getting there is a big fat fucking zero, but it's
zero.
absolutely a dream.
Yeah, that's a dream
That
for
and Vin
sure.
Diesel. I'd love to play some D&D with Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel would be sweet. They did a maze. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's like a sweepstakes giveaway kind of thing, and you give in like $10 and you get a certain amount of, tickets, I guess you can say. And one of them was Joe Manganiello. God, I always mess up his last
I
name.
said Manganiello. That might not be right.
Manganiello, whatever. He was doing one where like you could go to his place and play D&D with him and others. Damn sure that I put some money in there. I was like, I know I'm not gonna win, but like,
Was that like a raffle?
But like, yeah, like basically a
Okay.
raffle. But I was like, I know I'm not gonna win, but like
Worth
on
the
the
chance.
off chance that I might.
It's a raffle where the money goes to charity.
Oh, that's
Right.
cool. Yeah, charity.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, speaking of D&D, we can do our little thing called 1 minute one shot, where
Yeah.
Zach
This is a
here.
little segment I cooked up where I present a small situation, a small problem, and you have to come up with a solution to get out of it or die, possibly. It all depends on your smarts, really. So, for our first episode, I just kind of wanted to lowball it, gave a real simple one. I'm going to keep it nice and open for you guys. So, here we go with the first one shot. So, you're walking down a tunnel and you've been walking with a party, and you've been walking down this tunnel for like a mile. Like, it's super, super long, and it's just narrow, like, walls on either side, no forks or anything.
What are the walls made of?
Stone.
Okay.
It's all stone. Could be could be
Carved or rough?
Carved.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. And your rogue has been checking for traps along the way, and he insists, he is 100% dead sure, no traps anywhere. And you believe him
Of course.
until you hit that pressure plate. The boulder comes from the ceiling
Oh shit.
and is rolling at you. What do you do?
God,
Like
here we
behind
go.
us?
No, in front of you.
In front of me. Okay.
And you're kind of on maybe like a 20-degree slant, so it's rolling
Did
downhill.
you say what my character
to you.
was?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so
Start with Johnny. What do you want to do?
So just to clarify, this boulder is the same exact size of the tunnel,
Yeah.
and we've been doing it for. I mean, in this case, the only thing that you can really do is just brace for impact with all of the party. I mean, that's what I would end up doing, is just
You're
because
gonna
you can't run back. I mean, I guess what you could do too is like check for a secret door real quick. I'll like say the rogue, because rogues are never strong anyways. Tell the rogue to go check for a secret door somewhere, because it's a pressure point.
So this
There must be.
this rogue fucked up the trap
Yeah,
check
what the
pretty bad.
But like, I mean, and then immediately I'd try and
Okay, so
either get
are you-
crushed or just try and push.
You're gonna try and brace and
Yeah.
unstoppable object versus immovable.
know it. Yep.
Okay, all right.
Yep. I'm gonna run up as much as I can so I can stop the
Get a
momentum.
running start.
Get a
and
running start and then try and. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, like, God, I don't know.
It's gonna be tough as a gnome, but points
Oh
for
my
trying.
God. Okay, so we're a gnome.
No, you didn't specify, so I'm just assuming
No,
that.
I'm a Goliath.
Okay. Well, there you go. Okay, so
Yeah.
you're a Goliath. You're gonna try and
I'll be the barbarian.
out boulder the boulder.
You know
And
it.
stop it. All right, I like it.
I'm the guy from Avatar. The boulder. He's gonna stop the boulder.
Don't hate it. Daniel, what do you got?
I mean, it's a good answer, but it's definitely not the best answer. Okay. So let me tell you
I'll admit to that.
what you should do. So let me just start off by saying I'm definitely at least like a level 10 druid, okay?
Okay.
Because, you're in this hallway. There's only two options. You go around the boulder, you go through the boulder. You're in a tunnel, there's no way to go around it. So we're going fucking through, baby. You're gonna wild shape yourself into an earth elemental.
Interesting.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, okay, great. You're just gonna put your arms out and you're just gonna stop the boulder right there. No.
That's what Johnny
Silly
tried.
goose. Absolutely not. What you're gonna do is you're gonna have your party get like right up next to you, and as the boulder like rolls right on top of you, you're just gonna punch a nice little tunnel right through, and then you're gonna get like basically you're just gonna punch out this little tunnel. Your party's gonna walk right through right on your little heels, and then that boulder's gonna roll on back behind, and you're gonna be just okay.
Like me holding on to the legs, kitty style.
How much blunt damage does he take from the?
Hang on. So let me.
No blunt damage because I'm tunneling straight through the boulder so that nothing's
Sure.
hitting me.
But like wait, okay. So I get that.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's hear Ryan. Well, Ryan, that was pretty. All right. Good answer. Ryan, what do you got? How we?
I don't think that you would be able to. You might be able to. I don't think an Earth Elemental can phase through. I mean, I think it can. I can phase through it, but you can't phase other people through it with you.
That's why we're tunneling.
Right.
But you're assuming you're able to punch through it. So here's my thing. So the goal would be to save not just yourself, but everybody else.
Right.
I have different ideas for all the different things. If I want to just get around it just by myself and not worry about fucking everybody else, Misty Step. Just fucking Misty Step right through it.
Good call.
If I don't care about the rest of my party. If I want to help the rest of my party,
That's the real trick.
depending on the level of the party, high enough level, just do a plane shift and just come straight back.
Just teleport out of there.
or something to make you guys all ethereal, or or banish yourselves.
Just banish.
Like,
Just
So
point
you
the
got-
finger at yourself and say you are banished, and then just
I love
gone.
this.
or
This is great.
or heck,
You got-
banish your teammates and then Misty Step yourself, and then just have them
Hey.
come back.
There you
Is
go.
that what you're going? Is that your final answer?
You
You got a lot of options here. Which
There's a
one
lot
you
of
going?
options. I would say planar shift and go to the ethereal plane and come back.
All right.
Cool.
You know,
like
I
it.
think you probably come out pretty unscathed with that. I don't see any way that's not going to solve your problem. Johnny, I like where you're coming from. I love out-rocking this rock. I think you're going to take a hit.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be damaged. I also feel like you're kind of stuck in this tunnel without anywhere to go. But you're all alive, so that's
That's a
cool.
good point.
I would like
Yeah.
to pitch one other idea for you.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me tell you why I have problems with your first idea. So, you.
Here's why your idea is shit.
I didn't say it was shit. I like where he's going, but I have an issue. So you're gonna tunnel through this boulder,
Yeah.
and like supposedly the rest of the party will go through this tunnel after you,
With me.
with you.
Yeah.
How does the party go through the tunnel if the boulder's rolling as you're digging it, with the
That's-
tunnel
yes.
moving
Look,
orientation?
you are 100% right, and that is why you'll remember if we play the audio back. I said specifically they were going to be right on top of me.
So you're gonna
They did.
piggyback your whole party and then
Pretty much,
And what's
yeah.
gonna happen
Alright,
is
sure.
just like what was that movie? Kung Fu.
Panda.
No, not
Hustle.
Kung Fu Panda. No, not Hustle. It was the
Kung
weird
Pao.
one. Kung Pao. That's what it was.
Great flick.
Where he like
Masterpiece.
punches into the torso and it's just
Yeah,
like
the,
a,
like,
a
solid
straight
chunk of-
circle falls out of his
Yes.
torso. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen to the boulder, right?
I get
Yes.
that, but imagine that guy from Kung Pao was doing flips,
Right.
and then you tried to jump through his chest hole. That's
So,
where the
okay,
problem is.
here's
There's gonna be
my
at least
other-
8 deck saves.
Here's
Alright,
my
let's hear your
other idea. Okay, I have another character. She's a graviturgy mage. Okay, and she's a
Okay.
very attractive woman. So she happens.
Of
Her
course.
party just happens to be her and 4 orc barbarians. So. Because she just has like
You
this
gotta-
harem
there's
of
at-
men who
there-
follow her
hang on.
wherever she
Hold-
goes.
Right,
hold
of
up.
course.
There's at least one rogue in this party. We established that. That's the only
Right.
thing
Yes.
I
Okay.
established.
You're right. 3 barbarians, orcs,
And one very
orc,
strong rogue.
One really weird orc rogue. Okay.
Sure.
It's
Okay.
a hell of a fucking party.
Sure.
And so me as the sexy graviturgy mage, I'm gonna have the damage, and then I'm gonna have my 3 strong boys just push it all the way back up.
Just push it
to
back.
where-
into
Yeah, with
that
the-
Yeah,
tunnel.
I'm gonna have the weight. I'm just gonna have my harem of strong orc men.
The adjust density
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
That
Push
thing
it-
is,
just push it
dude.
right
That
back.
thing is
I
so
think
good.
it's so busted. I
So
love it.
good, and
It's
you can
really-
do it
it's really
anytime you want. It's
Yeah.
so good.
All right. Yeah.
I was just
no,
taking a look at the other spells also for graviturgy mages. They're really strong.
really,
I
Yeah.
have one
they
more
got
thought.
A lot of cool shit.
Okay.
Okay. Daniel, real quick.
Yes.
flawless plan. I can't see anything wrong.
Thank you.
Yeah, you make it all the way through. You win the game. Go ahead, Ryan. What you got?
Last thought. As a wizard or warlock or sorcerer, casting Shatter in the center.
Shatter the boulder.
In the center.
That would look rad as hell. Yeah, I like that.
Just like 9th level
Simple.
Shatter. Just heck yeah, that'd be sick.
Sometimes simplest way is best, right?
Yeah,
Blow it up.
Right on.
All right, nice work.
All right, with 1 minute one shot done, we can bring it to our topics that we wanted to get to, which has the theme of starting, thanks to us starting this podcast here. So
It's all about beginnings today.
Of course. The first thing that I was thinking of is, what is one thing that you all wish that you had known when you first started playing D&D or some other type of tabletop game? And I mean, for me, as a DM, because I'm pretty much always been a DM ever since I started. I've played a handful of times, but one thing that I really wish that I knew was it's okay to use D&D modules as, you know, inspiration / even just using them straight until you become more comfortable with world building, if that's your goal. Because for me, I was really trying to be the one that made the really cool world that, you know, everybody liked, and I wanted to be, you know, a great writer, but like what ended up happening,
you wanted to make your epic on the first try.
Exactly, and it's not going to happen that way. It never does. You never see that happen. Even though like
shit like that all the time.
Right, you see like movies of people doing this montage of them being like the best. But it doesn't happen. And so what ended up happening is I tried writing my thing without looking at anything else, tried to write it, make my world, and then it ended up being this half-baked campaign.
Kind of a hodgepodge of...
It really was, because I had one map and then I wasn't happy with it, so I changed it. And then you guys were like, where is everything? What's happening? And then I had like a dwarf war at one point, and then I was like, nah, never mind, and I just never talked about it again. And then you guys were like, what happened? And I was like, nah, we don't talk about that.
I remember one point we met a dwarf, and I was like, aren't we supposed to? And you're like, no,
just nope. And then you're like, okay, cool. And that's just how it went. But you guys suffered from that, because I don't think anybody remembers the beginning of our campaign, because it was because you came in like way later.
That's a funny joke.
But like, nobody understood the campaign because they were
I would like to say, like, I think...
What happened?
Well, because I think Ryan came in later, too.
He came in at around, like, level 4 or 5.
Yeah, so there's a bit in there. So, like, I was there from the beginning. I remember all of those parts, but but I forget that they're all from the same campaign. I have to be like, wait, oh yeah, like we did.
Well, we definitely split it up too, because it was like it was my campaign, and then I kind of burned out, because as you would do when you try and make everything in the world, and it just I
was like, oh yeah, we did that,
right? And then so I burned out. I told you guys, and then you guys were like, cool, yeah, we're kind of burnt out too, because we don't know what's happening. And then we ended up going with Ryan's little Star Wars thing, and then we did that thing, and then we went back to mine, and then we had like a hiatus or something like that, and then we kept going.
So
anyways,
happens.
But yeah, so back to the question: what is one thing that you guys wish that you had known when you had first started playing?
I wish I had known like just how heavy the role-playing aspect is. Like when I started, I thought it was just gonna be, you know, like a video game, just like, okay, kill the monster, get out of there. But really, you know, I wish I'd known more about like, it's about like community, like storytelling, and like it's much more interesting to play a character that's like different than yourself and like isn't perfect at everything. Because I tried to make like the best sword swinger who was a brick wall to talk to, you know? And I wish I got better at it, but like making an interesting character.
Yeah.
I think my biggest one was something that I had definitely already figured out by the time I joined your guys' party. And part of the reason why Ryan invited me to your party in the first place, which was that I must have tried to play Dungeons and Dragons like 3 times before it actually ended up sticking, because I didn't realize how important it was to have not just a group of people that I want to hang out with approximately once a week, but having a committed group of people that I want to hang out
that
with once a week.
collectively wanted to hang out once a week.
Almost every person I can think of that I've tried to play Dungeons and Dragons with at the time when I was trying to play with them was a good friend of mine, and I genuinely did want to play with them. However, they were not in the same way that I was, which just meant that if people like, whether you're the DM or whether you're a player, there is a certain amount of commitment you have to give to the game. Even if it's just, at the bare level, just learning the rules.
Right.
Because if you don't know the rules, a session of Dungeons and Dragons takes forever.
Oh man,
and it's not fun.
I can't even tell you how many sessions I had to do to explain rules to people, which I definitely feel like as
more
a DM,
than a few of those sessions were with me and some of our friends.
Right, some of our friends, because we kept on adding people, and then people.
Well, and I was
leaving,
rusty,
so
and so I was
more.
like,
that too, and then so.
Well, obviously, there are sometimes when it's cool to recap, but if you're literally recapping every single time, and people are like, well, what do I do now? And you're like, well, but this is Dungeons and Dragons.
Which dice do I roll?
Right.
Yeah.
Which one's the 20-sided die?
I think that's one thing that I feel like as a DM I can run a newbie game pretty well because I have the patience to do it, but the game definitely drags. And I know from experience as a player, because Ryan, you were running a Storm King's Thunder with a few newbies.
Mm-hmm.
As a experienced player playing with newbies, that's where it gets really annoying, because it's like I just want to go into this tavern and I want to talk to this guy.
It's all
I don't want to
talk.
I don't want to do this.
Patience for people to get their bearings and.
And also just accept that some people are never going to want to play the same way you do. It's
true.
That was the biggest thing.
That's
there are lovely people that I still think are lovely that I would never try to play Dungeons & Dragons with.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah. I think everybody could find something, but not everybody can be in the same group.
Yeah.
Like what you said, like you have the role-playing part that you are embracing now, whereas like some people just never. Like I did run one where he like never role-played, and I like to play a role-play, not heavy, but moderate role-play game, and he just wasn't about it.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna kill this person. I'm gonna take the loot. And then I try and be like, oh, well, hello, how are you doing? And then they're like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go upstairs. I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah, one of my best friends, like I've tried to play campaigns with him, and he's had campaigns with other friends, and he came to me one day and he was like, yeah, just D&D just isn't for me. Like I just cannot role play. I cannot get into it. I'm like, that's cool, man. At least you tried.
Right. And not only that, I mean, like you can have a full you can have a full party of those murder hobo-y type things where they don't RP.
That's
they
fun
just
in
go.
its own.
They do what Ryan does in Baldur's Gate 3. They just steal things, kill people, and that's it. And that's fine. That's like their game, playing style, and that's totally cool.
See, counterpoint for Baldur's Gate 3, I just try to steal things. I don't ever try to kill people unnecessarily.
All right.
Until you get caught. But what?
No. Then I just reload a save. So.
Right, of course. Yeah. So Ryan, what did you wish that you would know?
What do you got?
I would say going alongside the rules, just the rules themselves. Like, I was always interested in wanting to play D&D, but number one, similar to Daniel, I never knew people who did play. Granted, I think part of that too is because 5th edition didn't come out until after, I had graduated from high school, and some of these people did start picking it back up and playing. Right. But I'd say, like, as far as like making a character in general, like, there's a lot of things that make it complicated, and obviously as an experienced player and DM now, like it's super easy. You can make a character in literally 5 minutes if you really wanted to. Yeah. It's super quick to do, but just getting to the point where you actually understand how easy it is, and
I feel like that's a skill you have to work on.
Learning curve for
over
sure.
the years.
I think
that's something you get better at with practice.
I think a big part of it is because obviously all the different races, which are now after the next supplemental book, might be going away from the ability scores, but knowing what race and class get what, that's a huge part of like just knowing what you want to do
and what their abilities are too, because you have like the changeling that can basically cast alter self at any point. And then you have, you can know that half orcs have the unending, or what is it, endurance.
Relentless endurance.
Relentless endurance, where they come back with 1 hit point when they get to 0. Things like that. It's like, okay, my paladin might be in the front lines, so I'm gonna do that. But yeah, no, definitely, there's definitely a big learning curve with D&D. And I remember too, like when I first started playing, I didn't know very much at all. I just kind of knew what the DM that I played with for my very first time, what he knew, and he kind of had this like little handout where he's like, here's basic information, there you go ahead and take that. And I kind of read it over and I didn't really care. I just was like, the DM will tell me what to do. But like once I got out of there and then I moved to Oregon with you guys, I like just fell into it. I just started reading everything, watching all the videos, and I just learned that learning curve went into
relentless.
A steep like vertical line, just went straight into it. So, but yeah, no, learning those things
just takes time, practice, just like anything else. Well, I guess that ties pretty well into my topic I wanted to bring up. I was going to ask you guys how your very first game of D&D ever went.
Yeah, I remember it too.
You were just touching on it. Why don't you give us that story and I'll give you mine.
So I remember I never really knew about Dungeons and Dragons. Like I knew the name of it. I knew that it was like this fantasy type thing, but I didn't know like how great it was. But anyways, my friend said that, hey, D&D 5th edition came out. We were going to try and play it. Do you guys want to go? And they had their own group that they were playing a few times. And then I was finally, hey, do you mind if I join? And then the DM at the time, my friend Daniel, he was like, yeah, no, for sure. We can add you in. I'll make you whatever you want to do. If you want to do a paladin, and I was like, sure, let's go ahead and do a paladin, of course. And my paladin was Anton. He was a Oath of Devotion paladin, and he was the sword and shield type, and he had protection, so he was able to disadvantage. And at that time, we didn't know what reactions were, so we didn't know that you got 1 per round. And so I was just giving every single attack disadvantage, so it was just broken. And I remember to this day, Daniel was just like so frustrated behind the screen because he was like, I can't hit anybody because of Anton. He's just taking all of the hits.
That's your job.
But
you played your character good.
Exactly. And then I remember the first time I got DM inspiration too was like, we went into a shop and I was about to lie to somebody and I started a lie and then I was like, and then I remembered like in the oath, I don't lie or anything, something like that. And I was like, no, I don't think that's what my character would do. And he's like, hey, that's what we want. DM inspiration. I was like, I did good. And that was really that's really what got me into like the RP side. It was like, oh, sick. Cause I've always wanted to do acting, but never really got into it. Never was able to get into it. And
I feel like there's a good outlet for that.
Yeah, D&D is 100% a great outlet. I mean, especially as the DM, you can act as so many different things. And especially like that, along with the writing part, making these NPCs that you want to act as, that's really cool. But anyways, first time ever playing was really cool.
So it went really well.
It did go really well. I had a lot of fun. I still have his character sheet here somewhere. That's cool. Anton, Oath of Devotion Paladin.
My first character sheet might be buried somewhere, but I'd have to do a lot of digging. In hindsight, my very first game did not go super good, but I had a great time. I was having just a blast because I was in, it was probably 8th grade. I was like 13. Yeah, I got in there young. And my best friend at the time was like, there was this local card shop. You know, like they sell Magic cards, Warhammer, D&D, like the typical whatever. We had a local card shop in town. He was like, the owner of the shop is going to run a D&D campaign, and we can join if you want in. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but sure, like we can hang out, like whatever.
I only know half of those words.
Yeah,
yes.
But I'm like, what? Like, fine, you want to do this? We'll hang out. I don't care. And so we went in like a day or two early and like sat down because we had never played before. But the dude was like, he was a super cool guy. I would go into that card shop all the fucking time and talk with this guy. He ran Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments He
That's
like
cool.
had computers for World of Warcraft and shit. Like I knew this guy pretty well. And he like sat us down and was like, okay, here's how you make a character. And my friend is like thinking out this like elaborate backstory for his rogue and like writing in all the stats. And I'm like, I open up the book and I'm like, whoa, you can play as a dragon? I'm a dragonborn. and
yeah.
I look and I'm like, I want to use a sword. So fighter, cool. And I just like slapped it together.
Cool.
We show up the next day and I'm just like only giving like half effort because I don't give a shit about what's going on, but I'm having fun. And there's like my friend, me, and like 3 hardcore like 30-year-old players
Oh no.
in this group, and I'm just like,
And you were 8th grade, so you were what, like 15?
I was like 13.
15.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, 15 is like
No.
sophomore.
Got it. All right.
I know it's been a long time, but
I retract that.
and they were probably like our age, but they looked like they were like 35.
You were still below half
Yep.
their age.
And so and they were like, they knew what they were doing.
Right.
And this was we were playing 4.5, I think. But
4.
like they all knew,
or 3.5.
I think it was 3.5, yeah.
Yeah.
They all knew what we're doing. We're fucking around. I was fucking around. He was trying really hard. And I remember my very first attack, I got a nat 20,
Heck yeah.
and everybody at the table hated me for that.
What? They hated
They were
you?
they were just like, of course he gets a fucking nat 20. Like,
Wow.
this guy.
Dang.
I remember at one point we must have killed some bandits or something, and like some guards came up to check what was going on, but one of the bandits had a falchion and I wanted it really bad. The problem with falchions though is that they're super tall. So like the guard comes up and he's like, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I was holding this thing behind my back with the blade sticking up behind my head, and I was like, "Nothing. Guys are clean." He's like, "Did you steal that off the body?" I was like, "No,
What are you
not at
talking
all." What?
Look behind you. There's
Like,
nothing there.
all the other guys are like, "Please just drop the falchion. We don't want to like make this a big deal."
So you didn't want to drop the falchion.
Yeah, I did not want to, but they could like clearly see through the lie, and that's the only thing I
course.
remember about that character. I don't even remember his name, but I had a great
Heck yeah.
time, and then I think we did like one more session, and then I stopped going, and
Yeah.
that's how it went.
That was your first time.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Right on.
So, real quick, before we go on too far, is that how you pronounce falchion?
I thought it was falchion.
I've always heard his falchion.
Okay,
Maybe
anyway,
I'm wrong.
That's okay. That's really
Oh,
not
God,
important. I was
exposed.
just very confused there for a moment because I've definitely always said falchion, but it's only a word I've read. I don't think I've ever heard it.
Yeah. I've always heard falchion. But
Anyway, what was
Maybe I
the
just
question
misheard
again?
the-
Oh, the first time I played Dungeons and Dragons.
How'd your first game go? Like your first session?
Truthfully, I was actually just thinking about this the other day. I have very few memories from the first time I played Dungeons and Dragons.
was that with us?
Because you were 13.
Okay,
No.
okay.
I was, I think, a senior in high school.
Okay.
If
so
I
you're a little
remember
older.
correctly, I was trying to flirt with a pretty girl.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Who,
So your
as
mind
it
was
turned out
off on
later-
other things.
As it turned out later, was not into guys. So I was just, it was,
Well,
it was
you were
going
just
wrong from the beginning.
barking up
but
the wrong
she was,
tree.
she was really cool, and
good.
I met her, and she invited me to come join her Dungeons and Dragons group because I must have mentioned how I've always wanted to play.
Right.
And I must have, I wouldn't be surprised, this is a total me move, to have represented myself as being far more knowledgeable of the game because I do read, I probably read through plenty of stuff and I might have watched a couple of videos, but I did not
It
know
was a rookie
the
mistake.
majority of the rules to Dungeons and Dragons. So I show up, they
you're
have
like-
me make a cleric.
You're like, hell yeah, I'm level 20 in all my other campaigns.
I realized as soon as I started writing down the character sheet, I'm like, I am so fucked.
Dude, those things are daunting for sure.
I don't know fucking shit right now.
Man.
Oh man. And you were in
so,
high school at this point?
I was in high school.
So then you were
again,
probably playing 3.5
well, and
too.
to be fair, I think that at the time I probably read mostly on 4.0 because
Wait, when were you
4.0
in
was
high
what was
school?
Out. Well, I was a senior in high school. That was 2013.
No, I thought
It's
D&D
2014.
5e. D&D 5e came out in 2014, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, regardless,
Look,
who
I-
cares?
said
we
4E.
weren't playing 5e. 4E was what was out, so maybe the years are wrong, or maybe we're confused about
Sure.
when it came out. But we actually weren't playing 4E because they were snobs and they wanted to play on the real D&D, so they had me create a
The
character in
hardcore
3.5.
3.5,
So I
yep.
had studied on 4.
Dang.
Ended up creating
Oh,
a character in
no.
3.5. So
Oh,
I was
no.
like super not ready.
Oh no.
I don't remember anything about the first time we played. I only played that one time. It was in the game shop down the street from our high school.
Yeah, it was.
So I was a cleric. The only other two characters I remember there was a monk who I think was kind of supposed to be Batman.
Okay.
There
Okay.
was a barbarian. That was the girl I think I was into.
Nice.
And then there was like one other person. And I remember, I think it was probably like some kind of spellcaster because they
Right,
definitely
yeah.
wanted me to be a cleric because they had no healing.
Right.
And it was not that fun. We didn't get to do any fun encounters. It was just like the tavern session.
The DM
and
teaching you
I
how to play.
didn't-
The
I
typical-
didn't
well, and it-
go back.
Like your head was not in the
Ouch.
right place. Like you weren't putting
I
your
wasn't
full
ready.
focus on
just
this.
straight up, I was not ready.
You were more
Who
worried about
knows?
how cool you were gonna look in front of this girl to even.
Let's be perfectly honest. I did not say I was going to play D&D with her because I thought I was cool.
Ah.
Too
But-
good for that.
No, I was no. You didn't know me in high school. Ryan did. I was
Did
not
not.
cool. I was pretty aggressively uncool, if I'm gonna describe myself.
I was too.
I did
Yeah.
not have my cool round glasses like I have today.
Mm.
I wore dorky rectangular glasses, kind of like
Hey, what's wrong?
Johnny's.
What's wrong? Yeah, what's wrong with rectangular glasses, you
and,
dick?
And you know, I was like this little pipsqueak. So yeah, it was not my finest moment. It did not sell me on the game, but I kept trying.
Again, I
Right,
really think we
right.
were in the wrong headspace for this.
Well, that really comes
But hey.
back to your point on the what you wish you knew before. Is
Yeah, again,
the
you gotta
don't
have the
put-
right
Yep,
group of people.
yep,
That was
yep.
the wrong group.
Yep.
Don't play the game to impress girls because it's not gonna work.
I mean, unless you want to, go for it.
Especially if they're not
Live your
into
dreams.
guys. That won't help.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, hey, you learned.
That's where you went wrong.
Brian. I want to hear about yours.
Yeah, so like I said earlier, I always wanted to play something like this just because it's the epitome in theory of a ideal perfect game where you can do anything you want, right?
Mhm.
And obviously getting into it, you have to have a group of friends that you meet with consistently. And I never really had a group of people I really hung out with. Even in high school, like I hung out with Daniel, you know, all the time when we were doing shows and doing theater. And, you know, we would do, you know, shorts and sketches every now and then. But I never personally really, in theory, left the house that much and to actually go to people's houses. Except for
Yeah.
like a few cast parties they would have after shows, which is
Right.
always where I would get introduced to different board games and stuff that I've always enjoyed. Like that's where I was introduced to Munchkin, which is one of my favorite games, which I haven't played that in forever, but still.
I hadn't played that game until we played it like at Johnny's old place, and like that game's fun as hell.
It's
I get
great.
why it's so popular.
And how many board games do you have right now?
I have.
Do you have a lot?
I have a lot of the what I'd consider real board games.
Right.
Other than like Monopoly and the classic stuff.
Right. Well,
I don't
hey,
know if you guys know, but I
Monopoly-
do have I have a collection of antique board games myself.
What? Nice. Right on. How many of those do you have?
If I count the ones that are essentially mine from my grandparents and stuff, probably like
Oh, you have like
7
legit.
or 8 like
Dang.
pretty mint antique. And when I say antique, I mean either limited run local games or like pre-1950s.
Wow,
That's cool.
I had no idea. That's cool.
Ryan,
So
how many games do you have?
I have no idea.
I've seen
countless.
at least a
you
tower.
have like an entire wall.
I just bought the Ghostbusters 2 board game a couple weeks ago, and I got the Kickstarter version from eBay for a pretty penny, just because
That's
I
cool.
absolutely love the game. Anyways,
So anyways.
the first time I was able to actually start being introduced to D&D, I had just started dating my now fiance Sabrina, and we were
That was
dating.
your first time.
We were dating, I think, at 3 weeks when I came over to pick her up from Johnny's apartment while you guys were finishing
Right.
Death House.
Yeah.
And so my
that
first-
was
Oh,
us.
that's right.
my
That's how we
first my
started.
first experience was, and what sold me on the game was how cool that, you know, as soon as you guys, spoilers alert for Death House, you know, you have the monster at the very end of it. I won't say it, so never mind, not spoilers. But the monster at the very end of it comes up out of the, you know, the water, and you know, just the cinematic, you know, suspense of you guys trying to escape it as it's breaking through the walls.
Man, that's
what sold it to me.
tense.
That was really cool. And then of
Yeah.
course it ends with I think one party member getting sliced in half.
Yeah. Oh my God. So they had to do like some. They had to do a deck save to get through the very
We had some, like,
last
Indiana
scythe.
Jones
Right.
bullshit. We had to jump through.
Every doorway was scythes.
Oh my God.
And swear, the
I cannot.
very last one, and the guy had barely any health left. Natural 1. And he had advantage because people were helping. Rolled again. Natural 1.
Who was that? Which character was that? Do you remember?
That was Torn. That was Will's
yeah.
character before. Yeah.
Right.
Just head lopped off. He was dead. He
So-
suffered from Death House.
So that was my first
Not a
experience,
super
and like I said,
charismatic
that's the part that really sold me on wanting to really get into it, because, you know, the music being crescendos as you guys are running away, as you guys are going through
Right.
all these traps, really awesome.
Yeah.
However,
Well,
go on.
I was just gonna say I didn't know that was your
Yeah.
first ever exposure to D&D.
I
That's
didn't
really
either.
cool.
Yeah, I didn't know
that was
either.
my
Yeah.
first like real
We were
exposure
there for that.
Yeah, and
That's
I then my first time playing, we were going through with, you know, my new first character, Gilroy the Ranger.
Oh, right.
R.I.P.
Rip.
Spoilers.
Yeah. We're going through the caves to retrieve what we found out later to be the deck of many things. And my one of my favorite, you know, fondest memories was going down the tunnel. There was a tunnel that had a dead skeleton in it, and me and two other characters went into this hallway to investigate, and we noticed that we were just trapped in this hallway, like we were just walking forever, like there was no
Oh my
end
God,
of it.
Fuck that hallway.
Yeah, the door was just staying in one place, and no matter how far you walked, it just continued to walk away from you.
And we couldn't go back
Yeah.
to the entrance either. So my fondest memory from that first session, because I think that was the first session I played in. That or is the second
I think
one.
you're probably right.
And,
It was early.
And I remember I was the one that was able to solve that puzzle, and I just remember that fondly. That it was a really cool moment to be able
I'm
to
not gonna
that.
spoil that puzzle, but I want to say that I hate that hallway. I think it's really great. I think it's well designed. Super
Right.
impressed. Man, fuck that hallway. I also want to say,
And I didn't come up with it. It was Minds of Madness. If anybody
congrats
wants to get
to
that.
the author. I was gonna give you full credit, but hey, that was a great hallway. Man, fuck that hallway.
Yeah.
Fuck, and like I cannot tell you how stressful Death House was for me, because like
Dude.
we had just like made new characters for that thing,
Mhm.
and I had just gotten attached to my character, and I'm just like, please,
Right.
I was
oh
like,
my God.
please.
Deanna,
let
Fafnir,
me-
and Chaos were the only ones that
We're the
made
only
it
ones that made it
from
all the way
one all the way to the end of Rise of Tiamat.
Mhm.
That dang.
We started a Death House, we ended with a Dragon God, but I was like,
Yeah.
I had just gotten attached to my monk, Deanna, and I was like, please don't let her die. Please, Dungeon Master, please don't let me kill this character, because I really don't want to build another one. And I was like,
yeah.
I was playing so safe, because I really did not want to make another
It's hard. It's hard to play safe there, though.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Oh, you
oh my
made it
God.
difficult.
see, when I first arrived, what had just happened, I think in the session just before, or maybe it literally just happened right before I got there. But I know that you guys
Sorry
had
about
one of
that.
your party members. I don't know what character's name was, but it's being played by other Zach, and he just got killed by a shadow and was going to
Oh
be turned
man,
into a
that
shadow.
was Vixen.
So
man.
that
Vixen.
happened literally right
Rip.
before I got there, because you guys are all talking
Yeah.
about it, and I remember Zach sitting in the corner, not just doing anything because he's dead.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, you
kept
guys
trying
are
to, like,
level.
We kept trying to incorporate that character's ghost, but Johnny wouldn't have anything of it.
Yeah. I was gonna bring him in, but then it was like, there. Like I said, that was when I was trying to make that world, and it was just all messed up. And thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Talking XP. We'll be releasing new episodes every third Tuesday of each month, and we're looking forward to seeing you for our next discussion of games, movies, and D&D. Make sure to level up, and we'll see you next time.